a lot of ways didn't have to work as hard because the translation makes a difference. But it's funny because they get a 2-3 hour break in the middle of the day because their school schedule is so stringent. So it's no surprise that after lunch, Miss Jackson's always poking them to try and make them wake up because everybody's ready for their nap that they've done since they were little. The guy with the tape over his mouth, that's because you're not encouraged to participate in class. Not really. 11, 12, 7th grade.
So the ones that's younger than that.
Sometimes they're in boarding, but they're usually still at home in their primary schools. But sometimes they do board. It just depends. We've had a few of our students who've boarded since kindergarten. Yeah. So they're not encouraged to speak in their countries because if you think about it, it's not encouraged because they have guilt and shame society. If I'm wrong, their friends, their social pressure, shut up so we can get through it quicker. And there's just too many kids in the class. So the things our kids enjoy is they love karaoke, big deal. They love high-end shopping, they love that. They love to eat, especially fresh foods, seafoods and vegetables, things like that. If you look, that was a light dinner up in the room. That was one of the light dinners we ate one day. And Courtney, anybody knows Courtney Than, our Vietnamese girl who graduated, that was at her mom Bond's house. I went and spent some time with her at her house in Vietnam. And that was a light lunch. So when we throw a pizza in front of the kids and they say, you didn't feed me, or you give them cereal for breakfast, that's because that's what they're used to, times 2 sometimes, okay? So a lot of kids, they're on their phones, they're gaming. You know, a lot of ways their society is children are seen and not heard. In some ways I wish America would kind of go back to that a little bit, but you know, we go the other way. And you see this group of kids in the corner. I was marketing in, I think that was Vietnam, I don't remember. And the parents sent, oh, it makes you see better now. The parents sent all these kids. We had over 150 people in attendance, and we only had maybe 20 parents. So because the level of independence, how they do with their students, they sent the kids and said, you find what school you like, you can come back and let us know. Okay, so those kids, that group of kids, that was their group of friends, and they were making their own decisions, okay? Which is why sometimes your kids buck when you put parameters on them because they're used to an entirely different level of independence, okay? So this is the process, just so you know. So a lot of times we think of it in a like I call the teacher says something to me and that's the end of it if there's an issue. So we send monthly reports just like the homestay agencies do. And so we need to send formal reports every month. Those reports go either and or to the homestay agent and the overseas agent. Then they have to evaluate it and report on it. Then they send that to the overseas agent who contacts with the parents. And then they formulate a response and they provide it to either the homestay agent or me. And then I have to follow up and go, and then we do it all over again the next month. So it's a big process, which is why it's important, like when you have issues, that you follow the written process. Because we have to go through a lot of people. It's not just like a one-to-one, hey, let me call the parent. There's a whole process. And sometimes that process can take a week, sometimes it can take a couple weeks. It just depends on what we're dealing with. So how can you help? Check your students' grades. In your email, you're going to get a link that gives you access to that student's portal, okay? Check your students' grades. Remember, their parents back home are trying to get you to help them to monitor. Ms. Jackson's taking over monitoring the academic progress for our students, but we can't do it all. We're going to have somewhere between 35 and 45 students this year. That means that's a lot of kids to monitor. And so, you know, we need your help. Log in, get set up once a week, check. Why didn't you turn in your homework this week? Help us out. Stay informed. Our primary mode of communication for you is email. So please answer your emails. Okay, please check your emails. If you're like, I'm not a real email person, well, that's a real fundamental part of communication for us. So I guess learn, I don't know. Communicate issues. Be patient. Learn about the culture. The best thing you can do is learn about your kids. First thing I ever heard here, we had some issues with the Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese. Well, they're all Asian. It should be fine. That's very inappropriate. Because, you know, we, even in Jacksonville, we say, oh, north side, west side, that's like totally two different types of people, right? So Vietnam, China, there's gonna be two totally different sets. Everybody doesn't speak Mandarin. Everybody, you know, in South China, you have Cantonese. I mean, so there's all these different dialects within the countries. So it's not just, well, they're Asian, so they should all like the same thing. They have their own specifics. So if you have a kid from Vietnam, learn about Vietnam, get online, get some books, find out, ask the kids, what's going on in your country? Tell me about your school. Find out, just don't say, well, I've done this for 10 years, you know. They're Asian. There's more to it. We have a girl from Brazil coming, she speaks Portuguese. I'm like, what? I thought she would speak Brazilian, but no, Portuguese is the main language. So, you know, you learn stuff all the time, but you have to want to do it. And ask questions. You know, the thing for us is, if a kid's doing something that gets on your nerves, say, why did you do that? Not in a mean way. But hey, is that what you do in your country? You know, or something like that. So, mark your calendars. If you have a senior, this is the SAT date. This is the earliest SAT date. It's August 25th. And they're going to have a TOEFL either September 8th, 15th, or the 22nd. I won't know whose TOEFL is going to be on what date until I get in, because the SAT testing center can take hundreds of kids. The TOEFL center cannot. So if you have one of those dates in September that you're like, I'm out of town, I can't take my student, then you need to email that to me. August 25th, if you're busy, you just need to help coordinate. Ask another parent, because SAT only offers, I believe it's 6 tests a year. So we can't bend on that date for the seniors. They've got to get their application stuff. Support each other. Pray for us. We have 11 students in the visa process in the next 2 weeks. I know it's very easy to get impatient. I don't have a student yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet. With all the immigration things happening, you know, and it's not even just on our side. Right now, the Vietnamese kids are very difficult to get out of the country because they disappear once they get here. We found out from the consular's office in Vietnam that a lot of times they're doing private adoptions. So they're getting here on their F1, which is their long-term study visa, and they're disappearing. And public school's not required to verify their immigration. So they're filtering the public schools and they're disappearing and they're getting private adoptions, and there's like a 70% loss rate. And that's not anything to do with our immigration. That's all, you know, that's all them coming and disappearing. So there's a lot, you know, they're being stricter, being more careful, checking the finances harder, things like that. So it's important for us to make sure that we're praying for the program. We do have 11 kids in the pipeline that are getting visas in the next 2 weeks, okay? So let's pray. We could have as many as 45 when it's all said and done, you know? So we're just praying the Lord will bring who's supposed to be here. I will tell you, when I talked about learn about the culture, I think it was Kristen Alvarez, they had Neo last year, and she was talking to me. She says, Neo just drives me crazy because we'll have this piece of pizza, and it'll be the last piece of pizza, and he'll leave it in the box in the refrigerator. And it never fails. We have orange juice, and he leaves that last bit of orange. It's not even a glass, and it's like this much orange juice. And I'm like, yeah, why don't you drink that orange juice? There's that left. And I said, Kristen, do you understand that in China, it's considered rude to take the last? Because it means that your host didn't provide enough. So he's not leaving you the last because he's being rude. He's actually showing respect by leaving the last. That's why you ask. okay? And sometimes the kids are doing things just because their parents told them and they don't have a clue why. And they're, well, that's what my mama taught me, I don't know. So, last little thing, because I know we started late, but I don't want to keep us off. Yes?
I just want to tell in my house, they don't drink glass because they don't want to wash dishes. Because they everyone was after themselves.
That may be true as well. They're still teenagers, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so agencies and opportunities. We are not an exclusive school, so throughout the year, I keep you informed of opportunities, different things that have come up. VIA is our premier homestay agency. They do over 85% of our homestay. Everybody seems to like them. If you've been in the program a while, you've definitely seen a difference since they've gotten involved. But every year we have agencies that reach out to us and say, we want to do a program, we have this opportunity, can you let your families know? So, student and homestay agencies, we have Venture International, we have Gray Swang Education, and Jump the World. Our hosting opportunities, we have a short-term group of Chinese students. They got their visas, so I'll be sending emails out next week for hosting for those students. This time, because some of them have a test over back in their country, 17 are staying for only 6 nights, and the other 10 are staying for the whole 12 nights. So if you like to do it, but you're like, I don't really want to do it for, 12 days, a group of them, the largest group of them, are only going to be here for 6. So that's a nice little thing. So if you're interested, send me an email, because if you tell me today, I'm not going to remember. Our Guatemalan students come every mid-October 15-ish to December 15-ish. So we know we're looking for 1 or 2 more families. The rule is you can't have an international student currently in your home. So if you're here and nobody signed up for you, then let me know, because you might be able to take a Guatemalan student. They prefer if there's another student in the home. So it's not just like you and a parent, the student and a parent. They want them to have a American sibling kind of thing. So they have really strict rules, but it's a good agency. We've been offered a contract opportunity for next year for Colombian students to come for 1 month. So if you're interested in the short term, maybe 1 month or 1 semester hosting, let me know. Or if maybe you didn't get a long-term student and you want to be involved in a short-term opportunity, let me know, because we need to get 20 families logged in with that company so that we can have this Colombian group come next year, okay? We do month and semester hosting. We have a girl from Brazil. She's coming just for 1 month, for 1 semester. We have long-term hosting, which you're familiar with, and J1 hosting is new. I will tell you, J1 hosting, you don't get paid to host that student. So, if you just are naturally wealthy, they're required to pay for all their stuff, okay? They have credit card, will travel, but you don't get a homestay stipend for a J1 student. So, I'm just letting you know. We had a family last year, they didn't realize that. It was a whole different agency that we work with, so we don't work, they didn't communicate well to the family. The family didn't realize they didn't get paid, and it created a financial burden for them. So we only take up to 5 J1 students a year now. But if you decide to host a J1, please remember, there's no stipend, okay? So if somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, I got a J1, just know. We call it multi-lining, okay? That's the official term. So here's the multi-line guidelines, okay? That means I'm working with more than 1 agency, okay? Communicate with all the agents you work with, because even if you don't have a student, your name may be out there as an option. So if you're looking to work with another agency, whoever you're working with now, you need to communicate that to them, so that everybody knows what's going on, because if you commit here and then you commit here, that's going to create problems. And not all agencies, not all guidelines have the exact same rules. So you can't say, well, I posted for this agency and I wouldn't know what they do, and then expect that it's going to be the same for the other agency. You've got to communicate, you've got to pay attention, you've got to read the handbooks, all those things. 2 students of the same nationality are not allowed to live in the same home. So if you have a Chinese student coming here with this agency and you agree to take another Chinese student, we're gonna ask you to let the last one go. The school does not allow 2 of the same nationality in the home. Okay? 2 international students playing the same sport, living in the same home, not allowed. That's an FHSAA, Florida High School Athletic Association guideline. Because what they don't want is us to bring like 5 Venezuelan kids and stick them in one home and put them on a baseball team. And then not take care of them. Okay? So if they're playing the same sport, living in the same home, not gonna work. Okay? They're gonna have to, one of them's gonna have to move. The natural family through the agency has to sign off. Please understand that that family has to get permission for you to put another kid in that home. The intention, I know back in the day, if you wanted 4 kids, we just shoved 4 kids. But in the last 6 years, that is not what we do. Okay? Because that's just not a good long-term practice. Just not good. So that natural family has to get permission. So some families, every year I get families, oh, I want another kid, oh, I want 2 kids. Why did I just get 1 kid? I'm like, you should only expect to have 1, if you have 1, okay? And 2 is a bonus, okay? But there's guidelines that we have to follow. Be patient and respect the process. Don't overcommit. Don't get scared and overcommit and get all stressed out. God's gonna put in your home who He wants in your home. Okay, and I found, and I keep getting beat with the same lesson, that when we try to drive the decision, God, the whole thing with Lazarus, he was late, but he was right on time, He did it in His time. And I turned down about 4 students this year because I would much rather have the right students than just have a number. So you would much rather have a student that's supposed to be in your home than you try to manipulate the situation and just get any old person that doesn't fit, okay? Students and host parents cannot make or elicit homestay placement. So if you have an issue with your homestay, you need to contact your homestay agency. You shouldn't, you can always refer families, but you shouldn't be calling families going, hey, can he live with you next year? Okay, because that totally breaks down that process. And what happens is it develops communication issues, okay? Everything has to go through the agencies. That's a commitment we sign with our we have contracts and best practice agreements with those agents. Those are things that support that. Please do not post placement issues or homestay issues on social media, okay? Will you come live with me? or oh, this kid is driving me crazy this week. Oh, I love hosting, but it can be such work sometimes. All that gets back to the natural family, and it's very unwelcome. And you have to put yourself, can you imagine sending your kid across the world at 12 years old? I don't even want to send my kid when she's 17. She wants to go to Japan. I'm like, well, can we wait? Okay? So these kids are going a long way. The last thing the parents need is to have any impression that not that we can't be honest, we need to be honest, but we also want to be welcoming. And parents get it from, when you hear it through the grapevine, it's usually always worse than it really is, and more frustrating than it really is. So we want to make sure our parents aren't catching things through the grapevine. Okay, we want to make sure we're communicating. I know that was a lot of information. Take a minute to look through your folders when you have a chance. It has all the information. We're going to have in the folder gives today's schedule. We're going to take about a 5-minute break.